Okay, let's talk about animation deadlines. It's obviously something that a lot of us have to deal with. Animation deadlines, if you're a freelance animator, or even if you're a studio animator or a hobbyist animator, you're gonna have deadlines. Deadlines are a good thing. I feel much better with a deadline. A deadline is an important part of my strategy to get a project done. Sure, in the moment I will be stressed about it, but it will also push me to complete the project. The projects that don't have deadlines usually don't get finished. Deadlines also bring closure to a project, because once the deadline has passed, you cannot work on it anymore. It's like, nope, I can't touch it anymore. The deadline's done. You have to move on. The other cool benefit is that it's good for creativity. I have to be creative in order to get it done within the deadline date. So it pushes me to explore new options that I wouldn't have thought of before if I didn't have the deadline. I might have to cut out scenes that aren't needed for the film, and that actually makes the film stronger. It makes the film better. However, don't risk your reputation with a short deadline. The shortest deadlines I set are the ones that I set for myself in personal projects. Like, for example, this video has a very short deadline because it's gonna get dark pretty soon. I want to use the natural light to illuminate the room. How much time do I have? Maybe 2 hours, maybe 1 hour, very short deadline, but it's one that I set myself, and let's say it doesn't work out, I don't manage to get it done in time. Who's gonna notice? No one's gonna know. So that's one where it's low risk and I can set a very short deadline. On the other hand, you can't really take those kind of risks with client work because your reputation is on the line. You do not want to tarnish your reputation. So you need like absolute certainty that you can get it done within the time frame. When you are being paid by a client, that's not something you want to take a risk on, really. So I'm a lot more cautious when agreeing on a time frame for someone else's project. I negotiate deadlines to give myself more time than I think I'll need. And one thing I always remind myself with talking to clients, negotiating with clients, is you want to keep the client excited about the projects that you're about to embark on together, but you don't want to overpromise, because success is always relative to one's expectations. There are a lot of stories you can find about this where, to someone else, it seems like a project was a massive success, but it wasn't to the people creating it because they had expectations for something higher. So it really is all relative to what the expectations are. When you are estimating the project completion date, I recommend that you multiply your expected amount of time that you think you can get it done within by either 2 or 3. This is because things never go as planned. It's always, wow, that took longer than I thought it would. Deadlines for personal projects and staying motivated. Quick pause. This video is sponsored by Audible. With Audible, you can download and listen to a wide variety of audiobooks anytime, anywhere. I listen to audiobooks whenever I'm out and about, whenever I'm traveling, and whenever I'm working out and things like that. I get great satisfaction from feeling like I'm using my time effectively, listening to audiobooks and expanding my knowledge of the world, of many different subjects, all while I'm doing chores and daily obligations. This time I want to recommend the 4-Hour Work Week. Now, some of you might have already heard of this title. I consider this audiobook to have some life-changing ideas when it comes to time management and entrepreneurship in general. So that would be my recommendation if you're looking for an audiobook to try out. I think the 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss is a great choice. Go to www.audible.com/Howard Wimshurst or text Howard Wimshurst to 500 500 to get 1 free audiobook, unlimited Audible originals, and a 30-day free trial. Okay, now back to the video. Deadlines for personal projects and staying motivated. My deadline strategy changes depending on what project I'm approaching. So for example, with a commission, it's a one-time project. There's usually one big deadline And I will approach that in a different way to an ongoing project such as this YouTube channel. You know, this is a creative project of mine, and it's regular, recurring videos which are never ending. I don't have it set as a date of like, okay, at this date I will stop making YouTube videos. So they're just recurring. So I have to approach that differently. I have committed to uploading YouTube videos every Friday. I try to do that every week. So my two modes are either once a week or once every 2 weeks, and I can only do one of those two. So if I am in a commission and I've got a lot going on, I've got a lot on my plate at the time, then I have the option to actually dial it back to once every 2 weeks. I don't have the option to dial it back to whenever I feel like it. That's not an option. I have not made that an option for myself. It's completely self-dictated, but after a while you get into the rhythm of it, and I feel compelled to upload that YouTube video every week. I think habit and identity are two of your most powerful tools as a creator. If you have the habit to do something, that's really powerful. There's something even more powerful, which is identity. So if you identify as a YouTuber, then you can only maintain that identity by uploading YouTube videos. If you stop uploading YouTube videos, you can no longer have that identity. You cannot claim that identity as a YouTuber. That's a very powerful thing, is identity. And you can do the same thing with anything. Identity is extremely powerful driving force in people's lives. Try and create an identity. Tell people, you know, when you go to a sort of get together and there's that small talk of, oh, what do you do? Try saying it. Say, I am a YouTuber, or whatever it is that you want to do. I am an animator, right? If you say it enough, then you will start to develop that identity, and you can only hold on to that identity if you actually do that thing. If you are a writer, you can only call yourself a writer if you write. People don't want to let go of their identity once they have it. Very powerful. Try doing it. It's helped me a lot. I think it was worth me saying that, but now I've got to bring it back on track with the subject that we've got right now, which is deadlines. Okay, so internal deadlines. Setting internal deadlines for yourself is tremendously helpful, and it means that if you stagger these internal deadlines in your project, then you won't have as much of a massive deadline at the end where you're just not prepared for it and you're rushing for like a solid week, sleepless nights and things. It's going to reduce that. If you have, let's say for an animation production, you have the animatic, right? You've got to complete the animatic at a certain point in your time frame, in your production timeline, right? Set an internal deadline. You have to have the animatic ready by this date. Then later on, set another deadline of, I need all the shots rendered and exported ready for compositing by this date. If you stick to that date, then you will give yourself adequate time for the rest of it to actually do those last finishing touches, the compositing and all of that kind of stuff. So internal deadlines, really, really useful and important. I could not go through this kind of stuff without them. When I was making, I think it was Encounter, when I started using this method, I would calculate how many days I had for the project until I had the deadline, the first deadline. And I would then calculate what my daily average would have to be for each shot. So how many shots would I have to complete per day? Now this could be a decimal, it could be like a 0.2, in which case you have 5 days to complete each shot. If you're in really big trouble, it could be 1.5 or 2, and then you know, I've got to animate 2 shots per day on average to meet my deadline. And that will hit home for you like, oh, I really need to start doing this regularly, like, and you won't miss a day. Because you know, if you miss a day, then you have to do 3 or 4 scenes the next day. That's worked really well for me. Crunch time is not normal. Do not be conditioned into thinking that pulling all-nighters is a normal occurrence and you should just expect it on every project. It's not normal. It is a symptom of a poorly run project. That's right. If you pull an all-nighter, that means that something somewhere went wrong and you need to fix it for next time. For example, did you keep a shot list which you maintained and kept updated, which showed you the progress of each shot so that you can track that? Did you use a reliable calculation method to estimate the project's timeline? Were you multitasking between too many projects during your production time? Did you not spend enough time on the planning stages of your production time? Here's my next tip. Remember the pain. Maybe you're in a crunch time right now, and that's why you clicked on this video. Or maybe you're going to go through crunch time quite soon and you're wondering how to manage it or something. Or the chances are that you will at some point get crunch time again. You know, I'm not perfect here. I'm kind of making this video for myself in a way. I know I'm going to experience crunch time again. Now here's the important thing to remember for the next time you get crunch time. You've got to remember the pain. You got to feel the pain, process it, take it in. Man, this is horrible. This is like a nightmare. Later on, when you are not in a crunch time, it's going to be that feeling, that memory of that nightmare feeling, that's going to make you act sensibly. If you're working on a commission project, it's going to make you negotiate a sensible deadline. If you are working in university, at school, and it's for your school assignment, you don't have control over when, you can't negotiate that, but you can then know that you need to work diligently throughout the semester and not just work at the end of the semester. And it's that fear that's going to hold you to that, and it's going to make you be like, right, I'm determined. I am not going to let that happen again. So yeah, remember the pain. Be compensated for stressful deadlines. I care about my health, so I try to not put myself in stressful situations. I think everyone's like that, right? But sometimes when you're negotiating, you can have these moments of weakness where you decide to kind of sign away your rights for something because the client has something you want. They have that big commission, that high profile thing that you really want, and you just think, oh, okay, I'll sacrifice my health this time and it won't happen again after this. I swear it won't happen again. I'm gonna just this once, I'm gonna sacrifice my health for the client. All right, realistically, sometimes crunch time can't be avoided, right? Sometimes you just have to do it. You got to roll up your sleeves and do it. And sometimes stressful projects have the highest reward, but you should be charging a premium for those kind of inconveniences if you can. Quite a while ago now, I had a client come to me, very exciting commission project, you know, very high profile, would have been great, I'm sure, would have been great for my career. And said, we've booked advertisement slots for Christmas, so we are going to need you to have everything ready within 5 weeks. And I thought about it and I knew what this meant. It was going to mean sleepless nights. It was going to mean a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety and a risk, a real risk that I wouldn't be able to bring my best services to this, you know, offer my very best. And I was probably going to have to hire, you know, subcontract some extra animators, extra artists to help me, which would mean that I'd get less of a commission on it. So when I calculated the price it was going to cost the client, I added an extra, I think it was like 20% on top, or maybe 25%, just like of the total budget amount, and I just put that on top because I thought to myself, if I'm going to go through hell for this commission, I'm going to be compensated for it. And yeah, you might think this sounds entitled, but you've got to stand up for yourself in business, otherwise you will be taken advantage of. They booked the advertisement slots in advance before even securing an animator, a creative director for the project. You know, I was not going to pay the price for their poor management and poor scheduling. And looking back on that, I have no regrets on raising my price for that. They didn't have the budget to meet that extra rate, so I said, okay, this one's not for me. I didn't go down on price, I didn't lower my price at all. I'd much rather get rejected and have the freedom to pursue my own creative projects or my side projects, my side hustles, than be negotiated down into a nightmare project with no compensation for that. And also think of the opportunity cost as well. You know, probably another commission will come along in that time and you'll wish you weren't working on this nightmare project. No regrets. There's also an idea called Parkinsons Law that I think is good to mention here. The idea behind Parkinson's Law is that work expands to fill the time available for its completion. I find that to be very true. I had 8 months to complete my thesis film, Encounter. And guess how long it took me to complete my thesis film? 8 months. Now that's no coincidence. Conclusion. Deadlines make the world go round. They are a good thing, but they can get out of hand and you need to be in control of them. Coming up soon on the channel, I will be giving you a full desk tour, showing all of the gadgets I use on a daily basis to make the animation process easier and faster. If you want to see that next video when it comes out, make sure to hit subscribe and hit the notification icon so that you see the video when it comes out. See you in the next video. Goodbye.